She's already formed a family, Professor.
Yes, I've already formed a family, and Mummy sits at the head of the table.
At least I'm part of the family.
Mummy!
No, don't get up, please.
Of course you're part of it.
Thank you, Daddy.
We've just decided to form it.
Oh?
Father, mother, and children. You look sensational.
Oh.
A slightly incestuous family, if I may say so.
Silly boy. Again, my apologies, Professor.
Oh, there's nothing. Erminia, would you...
I've already had my dinner. But I'll taste a piece of that wonderful cake. Yes, Mother.
May I say, madam, that we are delighted that you could join us.
You were wise to take on a spare father, since your real one's gone.
Daddy?
Mm-hmm. I just drove him to the airport. Airports, nowadays, have become cemeteries.
What made you go all the way out there?
I'm still wondering myself. A nightmare evening. I think your daddy has gone just slightly mad.
Says the same thing about you.
My husband had invited a couple, friends of his, some people named Gaspari, to dinner. And since he first had to talk with somebody about an urgent matter, he asked me to stay on for a while and entertain his guests while he dealt with his business. I was just saying hello to them when my husband came in. And like a wild man, he said he had to go away at once. And what's more, I had to accompany him to the airport because he had to talk to me.
Dad had to talk to you?
Mm-hmm.
What about the Gasparis?
Simply aghast. For a moment, I even thought of sending them here.
Lovely idea. But where is Daddy? Where'd he go?
To Madrid. He told the Gasparis that the political situation is very serious and that he had to go off, I don't know, on some confidential business, something like that. With Villaverde himself. They seem to believe him. If you ask me, your father only just realized that the shooting season opens at the Villaverdes tomorrow. He was there last year, too.
Who did he speak to before dinner?
I don't know, dear. A man I'd never seen before. He said he was a man that was from the press office of the Senate.
Shall we have our coffee in the library?
But that's not the end of this crazy story, you know.
Excuse me. Was the man who spoke to your husband Berto Gisberti by any chance?
I don't know. I already told you.
Thank you. I'll serve. Who would like some coffee?
Mummy never takes coffee in the evening.
But tonight I will. Oh. Just a little, with a drop of cream.
May I serve?
Please.
Mummy?
That's good.
Professor?
Yes, just black.
Conrad, how do you...
I help myself.
Stefano?
No, thanks.
Now that we are en famille, I'll tell you the rest of my evening. I listened carefully because it concerns you in particular. After walking out on the Gasparis, we dashed right off to the airport. And you know what my husband had to say to me? He demands, that was the word. He demands that I get rid of you at once and never see you again.
Daddy said that? Well, when was Daddy ever...
Precisely, never. And yet he seemed so upset that at first I didn't want to contradict him. Oh, I've never seen him in such a state.
Old flames never die. He's jealous.
Yet, for heaven's sake. He made it clear that he had no objection to a replacement. But Conrad, no. But then you should have heard the ridiculous things he said, that if I don't get rid of you, he will. Then I lost my temper, and I said, if this is how things are, I prefer to divorce, and that's what we'll do.
To marry Conrad?
No! Well, for that matter, Conrad's never proposed to me. Isn't that so, darling?
I am now.
And I thank you. But the answer is no. People married to form a family. They divorce to dissolve it and to be free.
Free to marry again?
No, free. Just free.
That's not what you really mean.
Of course it is. What's the matter with him?
Tell them why you want to marry me.
Cut it, you're a bore.
Conrad.
Shall I tell them?
Don't bother, I can do it myself. I'm not marrying you because you're 12 years younger than I am. And because you're not the sort one marries.
Not the sort. Why not?
You're not the least amusing, you know?
I'm not trying to be. Answer me.
He's drunk. He drank all through dinner.
I'm not drunk. And I'm not trying to persuade this woman to marry me. It would be absurd. I am what I am. But I also know what you people are. And I don't allow anyone to laugh at me.
No one is laughing at you.
I beg your pardon, I'm not referring to you. Now, darling, tell me why, according to the rules of your respected society, I am not the sort one marries.
Oh, enough of this bullshit.
What's wrong with you? Has something happened?
Where I come from doesn't count. It's where I've been that matters, right? Kept boy, illegal dealings. That's what counts.
Yes, darling. That counts.
It only counts against me, because I wasn't successful. Because I'm still the lapdog that an important lady boldly took into places where dogs aren't allowed. And the others had to put up with the lapdog. When it stole from the kitchen, wet the floor, or beat people.
I can't listen to you say these things. You know very well it's not true.
Bianca, for God's sake, you're only encouraging him. Haven't we heard enough of his lectures on the corrupt capitalist society? Is that where we are again? That society doesn't even exist. And if it did, be grateful. You are one of the last to benefit from it.
Oh, but it does exist. It does exist, even more dangerously today than ever. Because it's camouflaged.
Oh, no, not you, Professor.
I'm no reactionary. I thought you understood that.
No, I hadn't. That's been camouflaged, too. Though I've yet to meet an intellectual who doesn't say he's left-wing. Luckily, apart from rare exceptions, it never shows up in their lives or work.
The intellectuals of my generation try to find a balance between politics and morality. Search for the impossible.
The search sure keeps them busy. They're very lucky. But his soul isn't tortured politically, let alone morally. So how can he justify his hatred for a society that lets him live like a gentleman, even if he did come in through the service entrance?
Right. With a frayed shirt and a corduroy jacket which I couldn't button because I'd outgrown it. The first time I went into one of these marvelous houses, and in the bed of the lady of the house. She wasn't beautiful like you, but she seems stupendous to me. I had a lump in my throat and tears in my eyes. I was really in love when I held her. It was what I wanted. And I did everything I could to stay there. My methods, which you're so ashamed of, I learned there. They are the same methods your world uses. Just the names are different, because the stakes are so much higher. They have beautiful ringing names which you pronounce with great respect, instead of puking them out. You think you move among gentlemen, not knowing that they are murderers. I told you that your husband has run off because they discovered that members of his group were about to assassinate a dozen top communists and other members of the government. Enough to take it over. You would be amazed.
I wouldn't be amazed. I'd say you're raving mad. My husband is an industrialist, right-wing, naturally. But where are the left-wing industrialists? Some of them may say they are. My husband is to the right,
And says so openly. Good for him. But from that, to say he deals in organized crime!
In fact, he does. Ask Stefano. He knows something about it.
You're crazy.
The lady's little lapdog has a sharp scent.
Oh, I see. You also do that, huh? Protection for what you call your small-time activities. When they come pounding on the door, everybody's running to flush the coke down the can. But not you. You're cool. They stopped you at the border, but the next day they let you go. Protection. Protection for being an informer and a slanderer!
It's enough.
No, it's not slander. I have informed on them, and I'm glad I did it.
Professor, will you permit that in your own house? You fucking son of... Get that out!
No, don't!
I will not permit this. Not you and not you. Even the damned in hell while away their time accusing each other the way you two do.
Just a minute. Conrad has volunteered his side of the story. Allow me to fill out the picture. As a matter of fact, Professor, you have had every opportunity to see the world he lives in. All small-time operators who for a bit of stuff went and split his lip upstairs. Those are his people. That's what he knows. That's the world he should talk about!
Answer him!
You bastards! Stop, both of you. You tear at each other like wild animals. I thought you loved each other. That you were friends, real friends, inseparable.
Love each other? Friends? Oh, sure. We're together all the time. We eat, we talk, we laugh and fuck together. But when the fun is over, where are your friends then? Each one goes his own way.
Yes, each one goes his own way. People like you always land on their feet.
Fine. Seeing that you all agree, I'll clear out. That should make you happy. That's what you want, Professor, isn't it?
You said some very offensive things.
Which I won't take back. No, I apologize for. Thanks for the dinner, Professor. But take my advice. Keep out of the mess, as you always have. And stick to your charming dead friends who can't be hurt by the violence of those fascist clowns. I hope you'll suffer.
I hope I'll get over it quickly.
You always land on your feet, too.
It's hard at night, darling, but I'll do my best.
Where are you going? I'll go with you.
No.
I always thought I was helping him. Nice clothes, traveling, that's part of life too, isn't it? And even if I did it wrong, I was still doing something for him. Because I love him.
What?
Leave me alone. You offended him. All right, okay. And you fired him as if he were a servant, someone you caught stealing. Even that was to be expected. But you, Professor, you had no right to turn your back on him. No right. No, not you. Not you, not you.
Oh, come on, let's not have any unnecessary guilt. If you want to, I'll go look for him right now and invoke his forgiveness.
I hope Conrad will not forgive anybody. Least of all, The day a certain Madame Bramante came to see me, to ask about renting the apartment upstairs. I refused. Because I was afraid of having people around me that I didn't know. People who might disturb me. Everything has turned out far worse than I'd ever imagined. If ever a landlord had difficult tenants, I believe I had. And yet I found myself thinking, as Lieta once said, it could really have been my family. A family that turned out well or badly, absolutely different from me. And since I love this wretched family, I want to do what I can for it, as it unawares has done something for me. As a writer whose books I keep on the table by my bed and read from time to time. He tells about a tenant who moves stealthily into the apartment above him. The writer hears the tenant moving about, stirring, walking, and then suddenly he seems to vanish. And for a long time he isn't heard again. But he comes back. Gradually his absence becomes more rare, his presence more constant. He is death. The awareness that he has reached the end of his life, announced to him in one of death's many deceitful disguises. Your presence above me has meant just the opposite to me. And I don't believe I've been deceived. You've awakened me from a sleep as profound, as insensitive, and as death itself.